the Venusaur any choice Scarf Garchomp.
Oh, this is gonna
Then you've got
be fun.
the defensive glues such as Incineroar and Sinistra here to round out the team. But looking over on the side of Josh, it's actually going to be a Mega Gengar Perish Song team with Politoed, Clanging Scaled Como, Tinkaton, Incineroar, and his own and their own Sinistra.
A little fun fact here, just throwing a few tidbits. This Josh just joined the local VGC scene here in Cebu, and he's been very active with the sparring for everyone. And I'm I was actually quite surprised when he decided, yeah, I want to join Midweek Smoke. And then I was like, all right, sure. So this is his very first tournament. He kind of just rejoined in the Champions era. He watched a lot of videos in SV. So I'm happy that Champions is finally bringing in more players. And this could be the start of a lot of new things. I know that he's mentioned several times that this Tinkaton is a key player in his team, especially against Farigiraf, but Dejan
Oh
has no
yeah,
Farigiraf on his team.
the reason why this Tinkaton so is used a lot in especially in teams that don't appreciate choreograph specifically is because of its ability Mold Breaker, which essentially is able to attack into opposing Pokemon as though they did not have an ability. So it so essentially Tinkaton is able to bypass Choreograph's Armor Tail
All
and
right.
still hit into Fake Out regardless of it. But now we're going to be seeing the Venusaur and Incineroar on the side of Dejan and the Gengar and Incineroar on the side of Josh here.
I guess Josh just really wants to set up this Perish trap a lot early. But yeah, we will be seeing that Josh will be Mega Evolving his Gengar here. Definitely going for the Shadow Tag Perish song, or he could just go for a Protect. I mean, it's pretty easy here. And he will be going for a Fake Out into the, of course, two Fake
Of
Outs.
course, it's going to be Fake Out, Fake Out. Notably though, Josh's Fake Out was able to
Faster.
essentially remove the Focus Sash on that Venusaur, and it's going to be a very early Perish song. The clock has begun to tick down
The bigger
as this
question, actually,
Gengar.
I'm curious, is Josh's Incineroar faster than Dejan's, or was that just a lucky speed tie? I guess we'll have to find out on this turn, the next turn. I want to see the interactions between these two Incineroar. And I mean, it does go for
It
Protect,
just
of course.
it's just going to be a double protect on the side of Josh here, wanting to preserve these Pokemon that are holding Dejan's that are holding down Dejan's Pokemon in this Perish trap. But thankfully, Dejan's Incineroar runs a parting shot, so he's able to
Switch
swap
in and
out
out, yeah. Because
into this Charizard Y, which is now threatening to set up the Sun with its Mega Evolution and activating Dejan's Venusaur's Chlorophyll, which doubles its speed under the Sun.
this might be Dejan's out here. But then again, this is still a Charizard. I mean, Charizard Y will do Charizard Y things. And the thing is, this Gengar has to leave, if not this turn, the next one. And they have to pivot in and out. So the usual move here will be that Incineroar is going to be telegraphed to Parting Shot to let the Gengar back in. But the question is, who's taking the Gengar's place? And will that be a Pokemon that Dejan would want to target with both of his Pokemon? And hopefully it's not, it's probably the Politoed. I mean, that's the whole point of it being on this team.
As just as we predicted, the Charizard just went for the Mega Evolution, giving this Venusaur its much needed speed boost in the Sun.
But this Weather Ball will be hitting that Gengar. Barely takes the KO though, but it's extremely likely that this Gengar will be swapping out this turn. Dejan may be losing his Venusaur here, but at the same time, he's already set up with the Charizard. If Josh did not bring the Politoed here in the back, this Charizard might just destroy everything in its way.
Another thing to note, actually, with Josh's play from that last turn, I like that he used a disable on the Venusaur, knowing that that Venusaur is most likely moving before the Gengar. So it was able to disable that sleep powder from being able to put another one of his Pokemon to sleep on this
Right.
following turn.
But Weather Ball
And we
will
are
be
going to
coming
be,
from the Charizard. Water type, not doing as much damage, but almost 50%.
and we see the Earth Power going into the supposed Gengar slot, not doing as much as he would have probably liked into that Politoed, knowing that Politoads in these Perish Trap teams are EV to be very bulky.
The, actually, this Incineroar being asleep might be a big problem for him because these Perish Trap teams, these teams that just want to spam Perish Song over and over, they want to have an out that's fairly easy. And the Gengar is not exactly healthy. Now we know that this Tinkaton is definitely faster than Incineroar, and it is in a pretty darn good position to go for a fake out into the Charizard. And well, the Politoed kinda does threaten the Charizard as well, but doesn't go for the fake out on the Charizard, instead just goes for the fake out on the Incin. And Charizard on the John side will go for another Weather Ball on the Tinkaton, gets a higher roll than the last one, takes it out. But this Politoed goes for a Weather Ball on the Charizard and survives? Question mark? Exclamation point?
Yeah, so unfortunately, because these Politoads are trained to be very bulky, they're not hitting for as much as they'd ideally want to, as we see from Dejan's Charizard surviving that super effective Weather Ball in the rain. But
Well,
also, I like that
this
Dejan chose to keep the Charizard on the field and utilizing the rain to his advantage to be able to get rid of that Tinkaton that was causing a lot of problems for him.
I suppose this Gengar is kind of stuck. It's going to have to use Perish Song again, or it's gonna want to, or it's gonna go for literally anything else. But at the same time, if it does anything other than protect itself, it's going to be so long as Dejan targets into that slot. I believe that a single Heat Wave, even in the rain, should be enough to take out this Gengar, but that's not exactly the safest play. Yeah, he will be going for Protect. The question is, what's the Charizard doing? Also going for a Protect. And this Incineroar will be... Okay. The thing with this Politoed is, it went for the Encore, but it's not the fastest thing ever. Like you said, it's fairly bulky. The Incineroar just parting shots it, punishes it for, attempting to Encore or something. And will be bringing in his own Garchomp. Garchomp will be very much free here to just spam Earthquake if it ever so wanted. Dejan's probably going,
Which,
yeah, you have the rain up, but whatever. I'm going to take out the Gengar and you're gonna do nothing about it.
yeah, and because this Politoed isn't trained to be very offensive, it's going to take a while for it to actually KO this Garchomp in return. But that is one thing that's going to help, which is this Incineroar's Intimidate boosts, taking down this Garchomp's offense by a peg
Just
and
ever
helping
so
to mitigate
slightly.
some of that damage. As you can see, uh, both of Josh's Pokemon taking a little less than half after that Intimidate drop. And the Weather Ball going into that Politoed, not doing as much damage, seeing as it is not very effective. And we are now going to be seeing that Weather Ball in return, finally getting rid of that Charizard on Dejan's side. A critical hit
Critical
for its
hit.
trouble, but it probably didn't matter.
I I don't think, I mean, at 12 HP in the rain? Oh, definitely didn't matter. Unless it did. Yeah, we will be seeing that Dejan will be sending out Incineroar here. His primary offensive pieces are kind of off the board. Garchomp lately, debatably, has been more defensive in nature, but I believe that Dejan's Garchomp is more aggressive. So I'm going to assume
Yeah.
it's trained to be a little more aggressive. This is the last turn of rain, and I imagine that Josh would want to just take out either of these Pokemon. Now, Incineroar and this defensive Politoed, they're not gonna do all that much damage. The best thing they can probably do here is fish for Perish again and just try to survive the next few turns. But this Incin on Josh's side is still asleep. And yeah, it stays asleep, I was about to say, unless it wakes up. But yeah, it stays asleep. And the fake out will be coming from Dejan's Incineroar to punch through. And yeah, with zero regard of his own Incineroar, he goes for
Mainly
the
because he
Earthquake.
still has that citrus berry intact.
To be fair, I think that was actually an incredible play. Just going by the analysis, the Incineroar on Dejan's side is still fairly healthy. It will probably survive another Earthquake, but neither of the Pokemon on Josh's side will be able to. Even if he almost sacrificed his own Incineroar, that Earthquake would have been enough to just punch through. And what's this Gengar on Josh's side gonna do? Josh is going to have to find a way to just break through this Garchomp and Incineroar. Yes, it is at -1, but yeah. And oh yeah, he sees it, goes for the Protect actually.
Unfortunately for Josh, Dejan's Garchomp is on that Choice Scarf, which means that even if he's able to get this Gengar back in, it's still going to be the fastest thing on the field. But now we see that Politoed is able to survive another Earthquake and is able to set up the Perish Song. So now Josh is on this awkward position of, yes, you have the timer on, but do you have enough left in the tank to outlive 3 more turns to be able to make sure that that Perish Song sticks?
It's really funny actually, because back in the SV era, we'd argue, can you survive 3 more turns of Trick Room? Now it's kind of flipped on its head. Can you survive 3 turns of lulling your opponent into
Song.
Perish?
And like we mentioned, since this Garchomp is on the Choice Scarf, it is going to remain the fastest thing on the field. Even faster than this Mega Gengar.
Well, this Gengar is just... It probably doesn't want to be in this position, to be fair. It wanted to be in a different position earlier. It will go for the Protect here, but its partner Incineroar is not... It attempts to go for the double Protect. Fails the double Protect. And yeah, Dejan just goes, I'm sorry, my own Incineroar, but we're kind of locked into this. But this sacrifice is worth it. The Choice Scarf will now be guaranteeing that this Earthquake will be going into this Gengar. But the thing is, double Protect, triple... He's gonna have to pray for a triple Protect here.
With 2 more turns left on that Perish counter.
And there's no other play.
So maybe Josh will be using this time to think about the adjustments that he'll possibly be making for the succeeding games if he wants to claw his way back into the set. But no, he doesn't even get the double Protect here, as Garchomp is now free to finish off this Gengar.
Steady as she goes. That was a very valiant effort, but Dejan just... we know him, the Riz Lord. He is still the Riz Lord.
He is just him.
He's him.
As Dejan takes game 1 in this best of 3 set. As we are now moving into game 2. It'll be interesting to see if Josh will be adjusting to the combo mode of his team, of the Clanging Souls.
Right. I mean, that is a very, very solid option, especially against this team that Dejan is bringing up. But I imagine Josh is probably going to be a little wary because of the Floette. But I don't think he should, care too much about that. The trade-off is just too good. If he manages to get the setup right and the Floette doesn't happen to be on the field, the Clanging Scales Komodo could be the out here.
Unfortunately for Josh though, Dejan's Floette does run both Moonblast and Dazzling Gleam. So as we predicted, Josh did adapt to this Como mode of his. However, it really is up to whether or not Dejan has the Floette in the back to swiftly answer to this combo that is going to most likely be setting up.
Oh,
Given that,
it's
uh,
100%. It's gonna set up. It it's in a really good position to just go for the clanging scales here. I mean, it could be put to sleep maybe by the Venusaur. Something a lot of people forget is sleep powder is still fairly inaccurate, so there is still a shot for it to miss. But at the same
mhm.
time, this Incin, huh? Both Incins, they're probably gonna want to fake out each other again. But we did see that Josh's Incin kept going right before
Dejan's
Dejan's. Yeah,
Incineroar. So it's just to be another case of fake out party here, trading fake outs into the opposing slots, as both this Venusaur and this Como are going to get flinched and not being able to move for this turn.
I think that that benefit Josh a little more because the Venusaur is wearing a focus sash it no longer can use, by the way. So, not the greatest for Dejan, but Venusaur probably won't be going down in a single hit to any of these Pokemon. And well, maybe the Incense Flare Blitz in the Sun, but I doubt that Dejan will want that to happen to him. So he's not gonna position it in such a way that, he's gonna get Flare Blitzed in the Sun. And
And more
with
importantly, oh, it's just going to be a clanging scales. Ah, a clanging scales. Straight
Flying
up, not
Scales,
even wanting to set up with the Clangor Soul, as this Venusaur is just going for go for the sleep powder onto the Incineroar, possibly trying to keep itself safe from getting knocked out in a single hit from Josh's Incineroar here.
so this this Venusaur is probably just gonna try and put everything to sleep. Of course, the Incin on Josh's side probably doesn't want to stay in there any longer. The Komodo, though, no setup, went straight for the clanging scales. It can set up now if it really wanted to, or it can switch out. We don't really know. The Komodo is in a good position to do whatever it really wants to do. It's just this Incin on its left probably doesn't want to stay in too long. The Venusaur does have Earth Power, and that'll hit either the Gengar or the Tinkaton switch in really badly. But at the same time, it can just go for even more sleep powders. That's also free, actually.
And it's just going to be a protect on the side of Josh's Como here, potentially keeping itself safe from getting put to sleep as Venusaur. But no, Dejan is just going to be protecting his own Venusaur, preserving it for more chances to put things to sleep, as he is going to be pivoting out this Incineroar with a parting shot, possibly into
The
the
Charizard.
Charizard, or if he has the Floette here, he would probably be bringing it out. And no, we're going to be seeing the Garchomp here.
Oh, let me double check this, but I believe, yeah, the Komodo did, from using the clanging scales, it did reduce its defenses slightly. This Garchomp may be able to one-hit KO this Komodo with a Dragon Claw.
And we know that Dejan's Garchomp is running that Choice Scarf, so it's not the fastest thing on this field. And because Josh's Como Quick Protect last turn, it is now in a much worse position than it was last turn.
Well, he
As,
will be
yeah,
switching it out.
into Tinkaton. But we've still yet to see what move of choice Dejan will be locking his Garchomp into, which is going to be that Dragon Claw. And we're now going to be seeing an Earth Power, predicting that switch in to the Tinkaton slot, not doing a lot of damage because of the Sugar Berry, reducing the damage of super effective ground moves. And this Incineroar finally wakes up and is able to get off a parting shot into this Garchomp, mitigating a bit of damage that it could be doing. But really, I think Dejan would much rather swap out his own Garchomp in order to preserve it for later on and potentially even change the move that it locked itself into, now that this Como is now in a prime position to shoot off a clanging stole, considering that this Tinkaton has the fake out pressure into this Garchomp that cannot protect itself. But we are going to be seeing the fake out going into the Venusaur slot. Dejan predicting Josh here and still chooses to fire off a Dragon Claw into the combo. Unfortunately, this Como just chose to set up with a Clangor's Soul and is now at the mercy of this Garchomp threatening wipe it off the field before it's able to shoot off any more damage.
The even bigger question is, it did manage to get a speed boost, but let's face it, is Komo faster than this Garchomp? That's the real question here.
It's going to be depending on how these trainers have trained their Pokemon, because really it's going to be a matter of whose speed boost benefited them more.
Yeah, the
And
choice
it's just
scarf.
going to be the Garchomp here from the side of Dejan outspeeding this Como even after the speed boost.
Gigaton
We're going
Hammer,
to be
will this
seeing
be... It didn't even take half.
it's not even gonna do half. And we're gonna be seeing another Earth Power going into the Tinkaton slot, now doing way more damage because the Sugar Berry has already been consumed. And we are now down to a 4v3. Josh losing his potential carry of this set as he chooses to bring out the Incineroar again, further reducing the damage output of Dejan's Garchomp. So this Garchomp has already put in so much work to get rid of that Como that I believe Dejan will be more than happy to switch it out now.
I think he's already done most of his job. This Garchomp is in a pretty good position to just switch out into his own Incineroar, but we will be seeing a forfeit. I suppose Josh just saw no outs there after he saw it, but he was in a pretty good position himself. But I guess, well, it happens, you know.
And Dejan will be taking that set. Congratulations to
He will be taking that
Dejan
fantastic job
for
for both
taking.
trainers, but I guess we just see why Dejan has been so consistently strong into these midweek smokes. He's always come in prepared, and I can't help but be proud of the guy. He works really hard for his teams, and it shows in his games. For Josh, on the other hand, it's all right. If you're watching the stream, it happens. Even the best go down sometimes, and you'll come back stronger, 100%.
Yeah, every loss can become a learning experience.